welcome to part 2 of how I study for exams. Exam stress is something most of us will probably experience at some point, and in today's video I will be sharing my best tips for dealing with exam stress so that I'm able to revise effectively. I really hope some of these tips can help you because they have definitely helped me out a lot. So let us just get started with the tips. My first tip is to create daily lists of what you're going to do. If you've made a study plan, then you already know roughly what you'll be doing, but I would recommend breaking it up into smaller chunks and writing it down in detail. It's often easy to get stressed because you're overwhelmed by everything you feel like you have to do, which can actually lead to getting nothing done at all. So having it all written down can help take away some of that stress. I would also recommend writing down something you can do if you finish everything early. That way you won't face any stress regarding what you should be doing and whether you're being productive enough after you've finished your tasks for the day. When making both your daily list and your weekly plan, it is important not to give yourself too much to do. I said this in my previous video, but be realistic with your own capacity so that you don't feel stressed over not being able to finish everything. My next tip is to try to establish an exam study routine for the days when you will be revising all day. And you will have to excuse my questionable calligraphy skills in this one. Anyway, I find it useful to set a study routine because I know that if I stick to it, I will cover everything I want to each day. And having planned and timed breaks is very useful so that I don't start procrastinating my work and my breaks end up being way too long. And I also find that when I get into a routine with something, it just feels a lot easier and more natural to do. So I would definitely recommend taking a few minutes to write down a study routine that fits you. I know that a lot of people, including me, get stressed out by the fact that they won't have much time to complete everything during their exams. And unfortunately, my next tip won't give you more time for your exams, but simply doing past papers under timed conditions can help you a lot because you will get used to the exam conditions. If you're used to doing the same type of paper in the same amount of time, it will hopefully take away some of the stress or anxiety you might feel when starting your actual exam. The next tip is so important, and that is to remember to take breaks when revising for your exams. I know that if I study for too long at a time, I won't be able to focus well, which again leads to stress because I don't feel like I'm accomplishing enough. So take breaks when you start feeling tired, and remember to step away from your desk so that you just don't sit there for 10-15 minutes looking at everything and stressing yourself out even more. Just relax for a bit, make a healthy snack or get some fresh air, and you will feel a lot more refreshed and ready to study again afterwards. My next tip is to not cram during the last days before your exam. I'm guessing this is something we all have tried to do at some point, but when I've done it, I find myself trying to take in way too much information at once, which just makes me feel stressed and demotivated because it makes me believe that I don't know anything, which again could lead me to perform worse on the exam than I could have done. So I like to think of the last days before an exam as the time for encouraging and motivating myself so that I can get into a good mindset before taking the exam. And in my opinion, the best way to do this is not to cram, but to only do some light revision of things you've gone through before or the things that are the most important to remember. In order not to feel stressed out during exam season, it is crucial to get enough sleep. I know everyone works differently, but if I study late at night, my brain just won't shut down when I'm trying to sleep, which in turn makes me feel tired and stressed out the next day. So I try to stop studying at a reasonable time so that I have time to wind down before I go to bed and get the sleep I need. It's so easy to get stressed out and not feel like you're accomplishing enough when comparing your own revision to what your friends and people online may be doing. And I know this might be difficult, but it is important to try not to compare yourself to others when it comes to studying, because everyone has their own ways of studying that work for them, and it's not necessarily the person who studies for the most hours per day who gets the best grades. So try not to worry about studying more or harder than those around you, and rather try your best to be confident in your own study routines and habits. If you're feeling a lot of stress, talking to someone might be very useful. They might not be able to take your stress away, but talking about it to someone can be really beneficial when it comes to understanding the thought patterns that stress you out or bring you down, which is the first step towards learning how to cope with these thoughts. If you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, you could also try writing down your thoughts. In my opinion, getting your thoughts down on the paper is far better than having them constantly going through your head. So if you're feeling a lot of stressful thoughts, I would recommend dealing with them either by talking to someone or writing about it. And last but not least, in order to take away some stress, it's so important to have faith in yourself and to think positive and realistic thoughts. And believe me, I know this may be hard if you're feeling like nothing's going your way, but a good way to start is by writing down some positive thoughts or affirmations that you can remind yourself of. When I get stressed out, I tend to think negative thoughts, which in turn makes me stress even more. So getting in a bit of positivity is so important when it comes to trying to break that cycle. So try to stay positive and be kind to yourself this exam season. If you're too stressed out to study properly, take a break and come back later. Tell yourself that even if your exams don't go as expected, it's still not the end of the world. And as long as you do your best and don't push yourself too hard, you're doing more than good enough. So that is it for the second video in this series. I hope this was helpful, and if you'd like more tips for exam revision, then be sure to check out my last video as well as the link in the description box. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week with another video.